Franny Stein, mad scientist, attack of the 50 feet Cupid. There are 23 continents. Franny's house. The Stein family lived in a pretty pink house with a lovely purple shutter down at the end of Daffodil Street. Everything about the house was bright and cheery. Everything, that is, except the bedroom behind the tiny round upstairs window. This was Franny's bedroom, and she lived it more than any place else in the whole world, because this was where she came up with some of the most exciting new ideas in math science. But as is often the case for mad scientists, it was impossible to get her friends and family to take her work seriously. Like when Franny presented her recently perfected personnel card to her father. "Hey Dad, have a look at this. I genetically engineered a real car for the portability that today's baby on the go demands. See? Fresh milk anywhere. That's nice, Franny," he said without even looking up for his newspaper. Or when Franny tried to show off for her just debugged the bigger rider to her little brother Freddie. One blast from this device can make things hundred of things bigger, Franny declared proudly. "Can you use it in reverse and make your mouth smaller?" Freddie asked. Franny answered, "It doesn't have a reverse setting. It only makes things bigger." "But that's not a bad idea." Before she could finish, he leaped on his skateboard and with one swift push, rocketed out of sight. Or when Franny called Percy, one of her new friends from school, to announce her new manifesto. You put a picture of something in front of it, flip the switch, and choppy, it creates a real three-dimensional reproduction of it. Did you ever put ketchup on corn chips? Percy asked witlessly. Franny blinked. "Ketchup on corn chips? Did you hear a single word I said, Percy? The manifesto actually makes real things from pictures and pictures from real things. It's a total madness. I like corn chips, he said, and Franny hung up the phone. Franny's mom had been watching and she felt bad for Franny. She might not have chosen to have a mad scientist for a daughter, but that's what Franny was. And since that's what Franny was, her mom had spent a lot of time trying to learn about mad scientists. One of the things she learned was this: mad scientists need assistants to whom they show their tiny cow's weird device and craze. Gizmo's assistants who were always excited and who always listened. Chapter 2. Please and thank you. One afternoon, Franny's mom cautiously poked her head into Franny's room. When poking one's head into a mad science's lab is always best to do so cautiously. Franny, honey, I have somebody I want you to meet. I'm kind of busy here, Mom. I'm working on a machine that will make dirty socks smell worse. Why would you want that? Franny's mom asked. Franny paused, then said, I guess you wouldn't, Mom. But that's how math science works, okay? But just thought you might like to meet your new lab assistant. A lab assistant too? Franny said, totally forgetting about the sock experiment more than anything. She had always wanted her very own lab assistant. Well, her mom said he's not a poor lad. He's also part poodle, part chihuahua, beagle, part spaniel, part shepherd, and some kind of weaselly thing that's not even exactly a dog. Franny stared blankly at the thing Mom had at the end of the list. But he'll always be interested and excited about your projects, sweetheart, and you can teach him to be your assistant. He's named Igor. Igor cocked and cocked his head. A few fleas hopped around in his fur. He could tell right away that he liked Franny and he hoped she liked him in return. Oh, it's a dog, Franny said flatly, looking at Igor like he would have a glass of warm water. I thought you meant... Franny was all ready to tell her mom to take Igor away. But as she looked into her mother's smiling face, she could tell that her mom had really and truly thought that Igor was going to be a big hit. She couldn't bring herself to let her mom down. He's a perfect, Mom. Franny lied. Thanks. I just knew you'd love him. Mom squealed and handed Franny the leash. Franny led Igor into her room. Sit here, she said. If I need assistance with anything, I'll let you know. Igor said and tried to smile the friendliest smile that a dog with a mouthful of pointy, craggy teeth could smile. More than anything, Igor wanted to be a mad scientist assistant, especially if that mad scientist was Franny. Chapter 3. Good help is hard to find. Back to work, Franny said. Mad scientists are the hardest working scientists of all. They do not allow interruptions like eager to get the way of progress. Eager couldn't wait to help. Eager, please don't touch the monsters. Franny growled when Eager tried to complete creatures she had just designed. Eager, hands off the device. Franny moaned when Eager tried to test her new X-ray project. Eager helped Franny combine several extremely dangerous chemicals. Eager, she said, don't touch the test tubes, please. Just don't touch anything. Chapter 4. Life's rough. The next morning, Eager watched quietly as Franny got ready for school. Before she left, she stopped to shake her finger at him. I think you've determined that you are a dog and not a lab assistant, so don't touch anything in this room except your dumb little rubber ball. Understand? Eager understood. He concentrated on not touching anything except his dumb little rubber ball because more than anything, he just really wanted to help. Chapter 5. What could be worse? Franny sat in class listening to her teacher, Mrs. Sally. Now remember that we'll be celebrating something special at the end of the week, Mrs. Shelley said. You will need to have Valentine's ready to share. Franny raised her hand. Mrs. Shelley, what are Valentines? Mrs. Shelley never understood how Franny could know so much about weird things, but so little about normal things. Franny felt the same way about Mrs. Shelley. The simple truth was that Franny, like most geniuses, studied the things she lived and didn't pay much attention to anything else, including holidays. A Valentine is an expression of friendship or love, Mrs. Shelley began. Like for your mom? Franny asked. Well, sure, you could send your mom a Valentine, but Valentines also celebrate love for those other than your parents. Roses or violets, whatever. I'm not sure I understand, Frank said. Here's an example of something you might write on one. Mrs. Shelley continued. Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so you are. And I write this on every Valentine? Frank asked. No, no, said Mrs. Shelley. You try to personalize them. You know, express your feelings about the person. Okay, you are the boss, Franny said, although she had no idea what Mrs. Shelley was talking about. Chapter 6 Franny's Valentine Poem Generator. Later, Franny sat at her desk and worked on her assignment. I know just the thing to make this much simpler, she said triumphantly. I'm create one Valentine that will work for everyone. That will save a lot of time. Igor watched her quietly, although he really wanted to help. The next day, Franny showed her invention, Mrs. Sally. It's called the Valentine Poem Generator. You put the same thing on every Valentine, and the recipient recipient just choose one section from each column. It's called a matrix. This way they can customize it for themselves. There are 65 different combinations. Franny's Valentine Poem Generator. Compose your very own Valentine poem. Just take one section from each column and put them together in order. Roses are red, violet are blue, sugar is sweet. Mrs. Shirley smiled as she looked at Franny's card and then back at Franny. Franny, this is very clever, but maybe I didn't explain it very well. Perhaps adding some decorations or pictures might help. Oh, yeah. Frank said, like pictures over the boogers, Bigfoot, right? Well, I was thinking about a picture of something more traditional. Mrs. Shelley corrected, like Cupid. Cupid? Frank asked, what's that? Mrs. Shelley explained that Cupid is this little naked guy with wings. He flies around shooting people with special arrows. Franny was fascinated and people like him. People love him, Mrs. Shelley laughed. And sometimes he has little hearts floating around him. Franny smiled. Hearts. Well, I like that part, she said. And he's always just saying something. Mush, Mrs. Shelley said. Mush, Franny said, as she took notes. And this is all there is to this love stuff? Franny asked. Mrs. Shelley smiled. Well, there are other things like flowers and candy, I suppose, but as Cupid is a good start, Franny. Chapter 7 Drawing Conclusions. Back at home, Franny looked over the notes she had made at school. Naked, wings, arrows, she mumbled, and hearts. She looked at the drawing. Oh, and he always said something mush. She whispered, let's see. Interest, pretty mush. I have the hang of this Valentine thing, Franny said confidently, and she designed the humor just for good measure. I eager watched quickly, but he really wanted to help. Cupid is as Cupid does. Franny couldn't wait to show her new valentines to her friends. Mrs. Shelley followed the scream. See, Franny said Cupid. Mrs. Shelley gasped. I had a hard time choosing the mushy thing for him to say, but then I figured that nothing was mushier than guts. Mrs. Shelley was just speechless. Do you want to see the rest? Franny asked. Mrs. Shelley nodded. Happy Valentine's Day. Franny's Valentine's. Valentine's, you really caught my eyes. Nice sketch. Valentine, you are swell. I hope the swelling goes down. Valentine, you've stolen my heart. Now give it back. Valentine, I hope you are punctual to satisfactory degree. You won't be my Valentine? Where? Store self. Valentine, you are such a treasure. Maybe you should be buried. Franny, Mrs. Ellie said finally, you'd better have a look at this, and she handed Franny a real Valentine. Chapter 9 Pink, cute, I'm going to be sick. Franny stared at the card, so this was what Mrs. Shelley was talking about. This was Cupid, all fat and pink and adorable. Now, what is it that this guy does again? Franny asked. He flies around and shoots his little arrows and makes people fall in love. Pretty horrible, huh? Franny said. Mrs. Shelley laughed. Franny looked at her friends. She still didn't understand them, but she was crazy about them. So if a naked baby was what they wanted or what they were going to get, okay, Mrs. Shelley, I understand now, she said, and Mrs. Shelley lent her the Cupid card to study. Chapter 10 Working Like a Dog. Later Late that night, Franny sat at her desk, starting at the Cupid card. She still had a lot of work to do if she was going to get Card's baby one done on time, but her heart just wasn't in it. I'm tired, she said, and tossed the card aside. I'll finish the rest tomorrow. Igor watched quietly, but he really wanted to help. After Franny went to bed, Igor tried to sleep, but he was still upset about not being allowed to help. He walked around the room looking at Franny's marvelous experiments in progress and reminded himself not to touch them. He couldn't think of anything to do until he noticed up in Franny's desk his little rubber ball. Chapter 11. What's the way the ball bounces? Igor knew that he was allowed to touch the ball, so he carefully climbed up on the chair and reached for it. He took special care not to touch any of Franny's things. Suddenly, the wheels on the chair shifted, and Igor knocked the ball over the table edge. The ball bounced twice, then hit the switch Franny's manifester. The manifester fired a beam directly at the Cupid card, which caused on its pitch. Real life Cupid would drop out the other side. And drawing, tiny arrows flew toward the eagle as the tiny Cupid started shooting, which is exactly what Cupid is supposed to do. Swing. Eagle dodged left and right. He made sure not to touch anything, just as Franny had told him. Eagle avoided just he could have trapped the Cupid in an butterfly net could have caught him with, because Franny had told him not to touch anything, and Eagle was determined to do just to Franny had interrupted. Suddenly, Eagle heard a click and the jet followed by loud crunching crack. One of Cupid's arrows had bounced off her bottom on one of Franny's gizmos, and the gizmo was the big riser. Chapter 12. Hey, Mister, watch the caster. A loud crunchy woke Franny, and she looked up, way up through the hole in the ceiling. She saw the moon in the early morning sky. It looked pinker and squishier than it ever had before. Pinker, easier. Wait a second, Franny, that's not the moon. That's the biggest baby bird the world has ever seen. Chapter 13. The holidays upon us. Franny jumped out of bed in a flash. She was standing right behind Eagle as Cupid fluttered off like a big, adorable, incredibly dangerous blimp. Eager, Franny said angrily. Do you have any idea what you've done? I told you not to touch anything and you disobeyed me. Now you have released a monster that I don't know how to stop. Franny's eyes flashed with a terrible mad scientist madness that made Eager wilt. You are a terrible assistant, Franny shouted in a voice so angry that she didn't even sound like herself. And when I get back, you had better be gone. You said ugly, good for nothing, little girl. Franny snatched the vigorizer and raced out the door. Eager sat there, broken-hearted alone. He wondered where that ugly, good-for-nothing little dog was supposed to go. Wherever that place is, Eager thought, is sure, isn't he? Chapter 14. Love Hurts. All morning Franny followed Cupid's trail of destruction. He doesn't understand how big he is or how dangerous these huge arrows are. Franny said he has to be stopped before secures somebody. Cupid, in distance, was happily firing his arrows in all directions and heading right toward him to a school bus loaded with kids. Oh no, Franny yelled. Cupid is going to leave them to pieces. Chapter 15. Love is a battlefield. Franny arrived on the scene just as the bus driver saw the massive angel of love. Immediately, the driver hit the brakes. She tried to go in reverse, but the bus stalled instead. Cupid noticed the stopped bus and the little kids inside and he was sure they all wanted to be in love. Ding, 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 Franny said as Cupid knocked an arrow on his bow string. The bus driver screamed. The kids screamed. Franny wished she had put a reverse button on the big riser. Suddenly she thought of her brother. Freddie, she said, and she turned the big riser on herself. Chapter 16. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Cupid aimed and tongue. He released a giant arrow, sending it rocketing toward the bus just as Franny came hurtling through the air. She slammed her right foot on top of the bus and dug her left foot into the dirt as she had seen her brother do countless times. With a mighty push, Franny was off. Franny weaved her way through the streets, riding the bus like the biggest skateboard in the world. Cupid flew after her in hot pursuit, firing arrow after arrow, which Franny ducked and dodged as she tried desperately not to wipe out. I have to get back to my lab, she thought, and she headed toward Daffodil Street. Chapter 17. Mom always says to wear your helmet when you become gigantic and skateboard on a school bus. Franny carved her way around the Titan and hurtled toward home. This skateboarding is kind of fun, she said. It's not nearly as hard as Freddie said it. Franny bounced the wheel off the curb, breaking an axle and sending Franny flying. Ooh! She yelled as she tumbled through the air and landed on her front lawn with a very painful crash. Cupid landed at the end of Daffodil Street and stumped toward the stopped bus. He had an arrow all ready to go. This looked like the end. Franny's head was spinning. She dragged herself in front of the bus and glowed defiantly. Cupid pulled back to the arrow and again took aim. Just as a mouthful of craggy point teeth sank into his giant squishy butt. Cupid howled and jumped. An arrow intended for Franny missed her by an inch. As Cupid spun around, Franny saw eager dangling from Cupid's sour pink rump. Igor had saved her. He had saved the kids on the bus. Cupid snatched Igor off his butt and threw him to the ground. He was about to return his attention to Franny when he got a good look at Igor. Igor was ugly. He was small and pitiful, but more than anything, Cupid could sense that Igor was heartbroken, and broken hearts were something of great interest to Cupid. Good Cupid distracted. Franny glanced. Now we can get out of here. She started to limp away, slowly dragging the bus with her. Cupid held Igor down with his big, fat, pink foot and stared at him. This, thought Cupid, is the broken heart I have ever seen. This called for an extra big arrow. Cupid reached for the biggest one he had. Chapter 18. Nope, not tacos. Franny hadn't taken more than 3 feeble steps before she stopped. She remembered when Igor helped with the monster. That actually was pretty funny, she thought. She remembered when he helped with her X-ray project. Also pretty funny. She remembered how they had risked his life to save her. She let go of the bus. She was overwhelmed by a strange and powerful electrical charge crackling through her body. A side effect of the big riser, an injury to her nervous system sustained in the bus wiped out. Yesterday's cafeteria for tacos not sitting so well. Franny felt strangely empowered. She felt strong and focused. This wasn't high voltage. This wasn't a chemical reaction. This wasn't a natural phenomenon. She looked at Igor. Igor, Franny whispered, and her heart melted. 19. Must save Igor was all Franny could say, but how Franny's massive brain ran calculations and scenarios at a blurring speed. Franny knows she could never take Cupid in a fight. He had a bow and arrow, and besides, it wouldn't be right to clobber a baby, even a 50-foot one. A baby's a baby, right? As Cupid put an arrow in the bow, Igor looked over at Franny. A baby's a baby, Franny exclaimed. He might be gigantic, destructive, arrow slinging Cupid, but he's still a baby. Franny pulled the roof off her house and tore through her beloved laboratory. "Where are you? Where are you?" she yelled. Finally, she stopped. "There you are," she yelled, and fired the big riser. Chapter 20. Back at the street, Eagle closed his eyes as hard as he could and waited for the tang of Cupid's arrow. But he didn't hear a tang. He heard a splash. Or was it splash? It was that sort of a squirt sound you hear when you turn the garden hose to full blast. Then he heard a sloppy sound and a moon. He opened his eyes. Cupid was slobbering up a long stream of some liquid. And at the other end of the long stream was Franny. She had used the vaporizer on the personnel cow and was squirting an irresistible gush of fresh milk. Cupid had dropped his bow and arrow and was following it like the big, chubby baby he was. Franny maneuvered him to a spot where she could get a clean shot at him, and while Cupid bruised himself with the cow, Franny activated the manifester in reverse. With one blast, she returned him to his proper form as the Cupid in a Valentine card. Chapter 21. Franny stood in a yard. Cupid was no longer a threat, and the kids were safe, but straw on the lawn around was the smoldering wreckage of her lab. She should have been the saddest little mad scientist ever. But she wasn't. She was happy. In fact, she was very happy. Ego was okay, and as smart as Franny was, she would never ever be able to explain why. At that moment, that was the most important thing. She stooped down and picked him up. He looked frightened and sad. Thanks for saving my life, she mumbled. Eager trembled. He looked as though he would cry. You know, she said, we mad scientists are sort of excitable, and sometimes we say things that we don't really mean. Eagle blinked. His eyes widened a bit. And really, this is all mostly my fault. I'm the one that made the manifestor and the visualizer in the first place. Eager smiled a little. I guess what I'm trying to say to that, I'm going to need an assistant to help me get back to normal size and also help put this lab back together. And I was thinking that I'd like you to be my assistant if you want. I'd really like it. Franny felt that strange rush of electricity surged through her again. There was just something about revealing how she felt that was almost as powerful as feeling it. And incredibly, it seemed to have an effect on Igor. He sat up straighter. He somehow looked less ugly. His breath got better, and he waved his tail happily. Dozens of fleas and ticks jumped off his back. They must have realized that Igor was no longer the type of dog that they could infest. You are going to be the best lab assistant in the world, Franny said. Igor jumped from her hand and immediately started to help clean up the yard. He knocked a flashy into a beaker, which blew up, leaving a 12-foot wide crater in the yard. Crater in the yard. Okay, Franny said, maybe not the best, but you will be my lab assistant. 22. Franny and Eagle worked together as if they had known each other forever. They fixed the bus and got the kids off to school. They built a device to shrink Franny back to normal size. Along the way, they learned that Igor could help a lot by holding things that Franny's giant hands would have probably broken. And then they made all the Valentine's Day cards that Franny needed to give Miss Shelley and her classmates. This thing is just too dangerous, Franny said, and together they destroyed the big riser. But not before they use it just one more time. 23. Mrs. Shelley and the kids looked out the window. It looked like a giant brown mountain had suddenly appeared in front of the school. Happy Valentine's Day, Franny said as she walked in. She handed her cards to Miss Shelley and the kids. Franny, Miss Shelley said, are you responsible for the thing out there? I'm Franny said, Happy Valentine's Day. It's for you. For me? Miss Shelley said, Really, Franny? I don't know what that thing is, but I'm quite sure I don't want it. Shoot yourself, Franny said, smiling, but it's not a thing. It's a chocolate-covered cherry, Mrs. Shelley gasped. You said something about candy. Mrs. Shelley and the kids went outside for a closer look, and Mrs. Shelley let them dig in. It looks like you were hit with one of CUPID's arrows, Mrs. Shelley said with a happy wink as she enjoyed the taste of the candy. I thought so too, Franny said seriously, but after a complete examination, I found that I wasn't even naked. No, Mrs. Shelley, there's just something strange at work here, a phenomenon I just can't explain. It could take me months to unreveal this. It could take me months to unravel this. Months? Mrs. Sally said as she watched as Franny, Eagle, and the kids slopped up the giant chocolate-covered cherry. She opened the envelope that Franny had given her and looked at the card inside. Mrs. Shelley is the squirtest thing in the world, but I know you like him, so here's your Cupid, little Franny. And Mrs. Shelley felt that same strange surge of power of Franny had felt crackle through her from head to toe. Happy Valentine's Day, Franny, she whispered.